Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be talking about the moon phases and how there's a relationship between Earth, Sun, and the moon and the brightness of the moon throughout the whole cycle. If everybody can put their belongings away, let's start with pulling out our KWL charts that we talked about yesterday, and let's go over some of the key points that we talked about with the moon, sun, and Earth and its position. Great. So we do know that the Earth, Sun, and Moon all have a relationship. The Earth revolves around the Sun, the Moon revolves around Earth. We do also know that the Sun does change the color of the Moon, and the placement of Earth is what is the deciding factor. Okay, so now that we have gone over what we have talked about yesterday, let's ask some of the questions that we can predict and we can activate our prior knowledge about. So if somebody could tell me how many times in a month do you think that we have a full moon? Awesome. So we have one full moon per month usually. Occasionally we do have two full moons, but that's called the second full moon is called a blue moon because it's so rare. But excellent job, guys. All right, let's move on to the next question. Let's think about if you're outside and you see the moon. Do we think that the moon stays the same size every single night? Or do you think it changes every single day? Great. So the moon changes every single day. And we also know that it's due to the placement of the Earth and the sun and the moon that causes it to change every single night. So let's remind ourselves that we do know some things about moon phases. So if you guys can think of any other questions that you want to know about moon phases, please add it to your KWL chart, and then maybe we'll be discussing them throughout this lesson. In this investigation, we're going to analyze data and describe the cyclic pattern of the lunar phases and why they occur. So let's take a look. I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to take a look exactly at what the moon looks like for the entire month of July 2017. Now, let me just share my screen. Hold on one second. All right, so I am sharing my screen, and as you can see here, we are looking at the moon phases for the month of July. Let me make it bigger. So these full moon phases, so as we can see, they start on July 1st. So right there, that's a half moon. So let's look. So we go from a half a moon and we go to a brighter moon. And then as you can see, this little tiny sickle shape keeps getting smaller and smaller until it is a full moon. So once it's a full moon, we can see that it continues to get a little bit brighter and a little bit brighter. But then we also notice as we get to about day 9, we start to see a little piece of the moon start to get dark on the right-hand side. And as you continue, you can begin to see the little piece that is on here, right here, we can see it starts to get bigger and bigger until we are back to the half moon. And then as we continue on from half moon, we also begin to see it becoming much, much smaller to a quarter size. So a quarter moon, and then we get to a new moon. So the new moon is when it's completely dark. A full moon is when it's completely brightened up. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We're going to have this on the board, and I'm also going to hand out sheets for you guys if you can't see the board or if you need a visual at your desk. So let's continue. So now that we've seen an older version of the moon, which is still the same, we can notice some of the lunar phases that are going on. So we know that there's a half moon, there's a new moon, there's a quarter moon. We also know that it does change every single day just from examining that one document. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to have you guys talk about some of the phases of the moon that you guys have seen in your pairs. So if you guys want to go ahead and do that, you'll have about 2 minutes to discuss it. Jot down some of your notes, and then we're going to begin your own exploration. All right, so as we did before, we examined figure 1.4, which was July 2017, the lunar phase map. And what you guys are going to be doing is that you're going to draw a model in your science notebook to answer each question below. So the questions below, and make sure you label the Earth, Sun, and Moon in your models. All right, so with those models, we're going to take a look and we're going to figure out some of these questions. So these questions are, how often does a full moon appear? How often does a new moon appear? And what other patterns, if any, can you see in this month of images? Once we are done that, you're going to jot them down in your notebook. Make sure you write neat because you will be handing this in just for review. And you're going to make sure you draw models to show your placement of the sun, which causes it to be darker or brighter, along with Earth and the moon. Once you're finished the model today, students are going to reference, you guys are going to reference the model that they had, that you have drawn. And the question that pertains to that is, where is the moon located in respect to the Earth and the sun during the new moon? So how does Earth, sun, and the moon line up in order to provide you a new moon, which is completely darkened? Make sure you guys have an explanation as to why you think where you place the structures, the moon, sun, and Earth, why it makes sense to you, so then I can understand whether or not you get it. You guys can go ahead and do that. You'll have about 5 to 10 minutes to do your model and discuss your reasonings. All right, so if you guys want to start that, make sure everybody has their models in their notebooks along with the questions. The questions will be posted. They're also posted on the whiteboard, and then also they're going to be posted in Google Classroom and the textbook that's available online. All right, so you guys are going to discuss your models. Make sure they're completely drawn out. You will have more time if you need more time for homework if you want to finish it. If you are finished, you will be turning in your science notebooks. But I want each group to discuss how and why you thought your model is accurate. Each group is going to explain their model, and then also you're going to listen to everybody else's explanation and see if your explanations match up. So with that being said, once everybody's done, I'm going to have a class discussion of everybody doing their model. Okay, great job, everybody. All of your explanations made sense. This is an awesome way to start. We are going to, throughout the week, move on with moon phases, and we're going to get into detail about the different kind of moon phases, the waxing, the waning. It's very important to notice them because when we go over them, I'm going to have you guys go outside and start looking at the moon for a week straight, and you guys are going to label which moon you thought was above. So now that everybody's done their model, their questions in their science notebook, don't forget it has to be in your science notebook. I'm going to ask you guys one more thing. You guys are going to complete your KWL chart. So what did you guys learn? Did you learn something new today? Can you walk away from this lesson and can you say, I know more about the moon? Do you have any further questions about the moon phases? Because most likely we're going to address them later on in the week. So we're also going to have, before you leave, as you walk out of the classroom today, we are going to have an exit ticket. So I need you guys to answer this question for me and then put it in the bin or put it in the Google Classroom. How does space exploration help us learn about the moon? So think about all the things we know about space now. So we know about the sun, we know about the Earth, we know about the moon, we know about the moon phases, and we know about the placement of Earth, sun, and moon and their relationships. So now that we know that, how do you think space exploration has allowed us to think about all of these characteristics of our solar system? So let's think about NASA. What does NASA do? We will discuss this later on, and we will go over our exit tickets before class tomorrow. We'll start class off with them. And also just to let everybody know, we will continue the week completing the lesson, and we're going to be furthering our knowledge on the sun, moon, and Earth and their relationship, and also the different types of patterns we see with the moon. Like I said, the waxing, the waning, the crescents, all of those. So if you guys have any questions, please do reach out to me. If you do not have any questions, please do fill out the exit ticket and complete your questions, submit your science notebooks, and that's it. Good job, guys, today.